Good evening and welcome to this CME. So fortunately, I am happy that quite a good number of my friends have come, and I am also once again thankful to them that at least they could think that this CME will give some sort of ideas about the management of hypoglycemia. It is very common in the world while treating diabetes. We come across this iatrogenic complications of the treatment part of the diabetes. So today's topic will be highlighting on the features of hypoglycemia, and this is of hypoglycemia that is occurring in diabetes, because diabetes we all know it is causes hyperglycemia, and we are treating for that. While we treat, we put the patient to the point of hypoglycemia, and it is better that patient be there with high blood sugar than to be treating the patient and putting them to the extremes, resulting in hypoglycemia, with which has got a much more deleterious effect. And as per the statistics, almost 2 to 4% of the patients with the hypoglycemia, we may lose the patient. So that is why is the importance, and that is why I have taken this to appraise of you of this sinister clinical, serious clinical consequences resulting out of our own treatment. We will go a little bit by the definition. Definition: when the hypoglycemia we call, that means when the blood sugar is less than 70 is the normal cutoff. That is in fasting state. If you take the blood sugar, if it is 70 and above is normal, and below 70, that is the range between 54 to 70 is hypoglycemic, and that is in the early morning fasting sugar. Or if it is less than 54, it is called post-absorptive hypoglycemia. While there are some few terminologies which needs clarifications. First of all, as I told, the definition is very, very important. Hypoglycemia per se is in the common way, if it is 70, that is this will call it as normal. That means the morning hypoglycemia, morning blood sugar, if it is 70, it is normal. But in between, that is between 54 to 70, it indicates hypoglycemia. But if below 54, it is called post-absorptive hypoglycemia. Why this new term? It is not new term. Yeah. The type is a post-absorptive, and one is another is post-prandial. Post-absorptive, we meant to say before the meal, means in the morning, the patient would have had the last dinner and the next breakfast. The interdigestive period is quite long. So during that time, the patient experiences hypoglycemia, and that is why the term is called the post-absorptive hypoglycemia. Next is the postprandial. Postprandial is nothing to do with about our diabetes, but there are other conditions which can lead to postprandial hypoglycemia. I will just silently touch on those conditions like intestinal hurry, rapid intestinal hurry, or non-beta cell tumors. So that can cause postprandial hypoglycemia due to excessive release of the insulin and rapid intestinal hurry. We can land up with this. But in diabetes, we will be solely considering on this one, that is post-absorptive hypoglycemia. That is in a broader way we can tell and we can define this type of hypoglycemia. But if we go for a clinical classification of this post-absorptive hypoglycemia, the first one is the drops. That is, This post-operative hypoglycemia we are dealing with in the scenario of a diabetic patients where we have initiated the treatment, and the treatment you are using insulin, sulfonylureas. These are the most common two drugs which can lead to hypoglycemia. Then other drugs like quinine and salicylates used in some other conditions can cause hypoglycemia. This is a drug induced. Then certain clinical illness like severe hepatic failure, renal failure, cardiac failure or sepsis can also cause hypoglycemia because of the complex metabolic process. As we know, the liver is the important site for gluconeogenesis, and if liver is not functioning, naturally we will not have the endogenous glucose. So that's why we may end up with hypoglycemia. There are other conditions. Then the hormone deficiencies, as usual, like cortisol and other hormones which can have an effect on glucose metabolism. If they are not there or there is deficiency, we may get hypoglycemia. Then endogenous hyperinsulinism, that's a beta cell tumor or other tumors where there is a secretion of more insulin is there by the tumor, can lead to hypoglycemia. And other conditions like non-beta tumors and hypoglycemia of infancy, these are other rarer conditions. But these are all under the broader term of post-operative hypoglycemia. Then this is the postprandial, the other one which I told, the previous one, like this one, post-operative and postprandial. This classification is about the post-operative which I am visualizing or considering on that one. Then the postprandial, as I have already told, this is endogenous hyperinsulinism, congenital deficiencies of carbohydrate metabolisms, galactosemias, rapid intestinal hurry and intestinal factors, and functional postprandial. This is a functional one. So this is about the postprandial. Then the most important cause is the etiopathogenesis. How it occurs, particularly in response to in the way when we treat this diabetes, how it occurs. This etiopathogenesis. So first one is the loss of glucagon response, impaired epinephrine response, that is comprising of two things, sympathoadrenal and adrenocortical or adrenomedullary syndrome. The last one is hyperglycemia associated autonomic failure, F. So each one I will be describing what is happening in type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus, because hypoglycemia is more commonly seen in type 1 diabetes when we go aggressively, when we treat aggressively to achieve the euglycemic range or to achieve for hemoglobin A1C level at an acceptable range, we treat and we will end up putting the patient into hypoglycemia. That is the type 1 where it occurs with our aggressive or intensive treatment, and it occurs early and its frequency is more. Whereas in type 2 diabetes mellitus, the frequency of hypoglycemia with our treatment is not that immediate or not frequent. We get this similar scenario as that of type 1 after quite a long time, because patient will be treated on the treatment for quite long time. Then we see that when there is absolute or almost insulin lack, the patient is not producing insulin of its own. It is a long process of partial deficiency or relative absence of insulin to complete or absolute lack of insulin. It is a range and it is a disease process. So once the disease process is quite long and where there is requirement of insulin, at that point of time we may come across hypoglycemia, that is iatrogenic, means it is drug induced or our aggressive use of insulin. That means I meant to say that type 1 diabetes mellitus, while we treat and while we go for intensive therapy for bringing down his blood sugar and achieving the hemoglobin A1C to acceptable level, we very frequently get hypoglycemia with the patient. Whereas in type 2 diabetes mellitus, we treat with OHA, there may be hypoglycemia rarely, but when the patient goes to almost absolute lack of insulin and we are supplementing with insulin plus OHA, we also land up with hypoglycemia, where you know to say that hypoglycemia in type 2 is delayed, but once it occurs, we put the patient into a dangerous situation. Anything can happen, and the last thing is which we all avoid is we may lose the patient. So before putting to that, we should have a clear idea why it is happening and what goes wrong. That is why the etiopathogenesis, normally to tell about that, the normal mechanisms and why the failure, the defense mechanism, why it is not there in diabetes, in type 1 and type 2 diabetes, why it is not there. In normally when there is the defense mechanism is a three-tier system. The body's defense mechanism, when there is glucose is there, blood sugar is elevated, and I am talking about the normal scenario. What happens with the pancreatic beta cell? So once after this digestion process and glucose is rising in the blood sugar, and insulin is executed by the beta cells because of the rise in sugar level or glucose. So once it rises, insulin is secreted, and the role of insulin is to reduce the sugar. At particular point of time when the sugar is getting reduced, it is being sensed by the beta cells, resulting in decrease in insulin level and increase in glucagon production. That means the first defense mechanism comes into play. Before the person going to hypoglycemia, it cannot happen, because once the circulating level of insulin is going down, it is a stimulus for glucagon to release. The role of glucagon is it increases the blood sugar. That occurs in normally. But in diabetes, both in type 1 and type 2, this first defense mechanism is lost. This is gone. Reason, we have given enough insulin. Exogenous insulin is there. If you compare it to the normal one, where the endogenous insulin is produced by the pancreatic beta cells, and as the glucose level is going down, insulin level in the intra-islet cell is decreased. That is normally. But in case of type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus, it is exogenous insulin is there in the body. So the body defense mechanism cannot sense it. Since insulin is available, the first response to hypoglycemia is decrease in insulin, which is not there in type 1 and type 2. Next comes the impaired epinephrine response. That is epinephrine is our second defense mechanism. After falling of insulin, glucose level will rise because body is not producing. If you compare it to the normal one, body is not producing insulin and glucagon is